going on, guys? So I picked up some Winjet Foglights, and I wanted to get this job done without having to remove the front bumper. So I did some researching, and not really researching, I just looked at the harness. I figured the only thing that we would need to do would be to just extend the two sides that go down to the lights in order to be able to connect it. So I'm going to show you guys how to install it. It's going to be a good DIY video, so stay tuned until the end if you guys are wanting to install fog lights on your FRS. Hope you guys are all doing well, and let's get started. Alright, so for this job you're going to need some basic tools. Some zip ties saved my life. 10mm wrench with a socket, pry tool, Phillips, flashlight for when you're inside the wheel well, wire cutters, some extra wire, 18 gauge, some of these butt connectors. So let's get started. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is modify this harness. If you got a Winjet harness like mine, you have your fuse, you have your relay, you have some wires, some things. But what you're going to look for is this. The wires that connect down to the fog lights. What you want to do is you want to take this and you want to cut each one of these about, I don't know, 4 inches in. So you should end up with these two bad boys. And what we're going to do is, it's really simple. We're going to take some of this wire and extend this, both sides, about 1.5 feet. So I'm going to get to cutting this, and I'm going to lengthen these wires. So this is what you want your harness to look like. Yeah, you want to clip these guys in, just extend the wires pretty much, and then you're going to plug it right back into where you cut it from. And it's that simple. That's the only thing you need to do as far as extending the harness. Everything else should be plug and play, and I'll show you how to do it. The easiest way to figure out how this goes is you want to take the fuse side and run it all the way to the top of the battery. And where this splits, this should be behind your headlight. And you're going to run this straight across this way to where this splits. This is going to drop down perfectly now. The other side would drop down perfectly. And then you're going to have this side with this yellow connector running up towards that way. So it's going to look like a big U across the entire thing. So we'll start at the relay at the battery. Alright, so after inspecting this entire side, I found that the easiest way to do this would be to just take off the bracket bolt back here and just attach the fuse relay to it for the harness. It's going to be the cleanest way, I think, of getting this tucked in, unless you want to just zip tie it to the harness down there, which is another option I was pursuing. So let's take this off. And then this red wire is going to go to the battery. You can put it here, you can put it there, it doesn't really matter. For safety purposes, I'm not going to hook this up just yet. Just because I don't want power running through the harness until the end of the video. So at the end of the video, just remember to come back and tighten this in here, and you'll be golden. To pop these bezels off, all you have to do is pretty much take a pry tool to this, and they should pop right off. Also forgot to mention, make sure you're running this wiring harness underneath the fuse box. It's just going to make it for a cleaner install. So the next thing you want to do is you want to grab this, one of the ends that you cut off, and you want to run it down through that hole and into the that bezel that you just took off. So let's see that really quick. So you have one connector right here. The next one you're going to want to run across. Just loop this around this way. Run it across and pretty much do the exact same thing on that side there. This one is a little bit more complicated because you have the reservoir back here, but we're gonna give it a shot. Something that I found is that you can actually run it under here, this hose, through here. You can run the harness through here, and if you loop it under here and behind the fuse box, loop the entire thing, and underneath this, you're actually able to get the wire to run across underneath the bottom without having to take off the fuse box. So just a little tip. But then also down here, there's a small spot. You can't really see it, but if you get up close, there's actually a little slot behind the reservoir tank that you can actually get the wire to run down. So now we have both wires here. One, two. The other thing you're going to need to do on this side, it's just an extra step, is this side has a ground, so you're going to want to ground it. I have this bolt over here that I use for my HIDs, so I'm just going to ground it right underneath it, call it a day. You could also ground it on the headlight underneath. That should be enough, but this definitely seems like a better ground to use. So once you're done with that, you're going to want to run the other yellow wire here across the top underneath and tucking it into that nipple where you can actually run it through the firewall. But let me get to grounding this real quick, and we'll get to that second. So if you ran the wire correctly through the nipple, you should have this yellow thing popping out. Now with the Winjet Foglights, you actually get an extra harness that's going to be the switch for this entire assembly. So there are a few clips you're going to need to pop off under here, because you need to get this plate off in order to tuck the wires correctly. So we're going to pop this clip here. This tool is awesome. Pop that clip, set it aside, and this thing should pop right off. Next, we have to pop this panel off. You can actually put your finger under here, but I'm going to use the pry tool, so I don't feel like getting my finger all jammed up. Alright, screw it. Old-fashioned way. Pop it off with that instead. Flathead works even better. This whole thing should pop right off. Just now that you've popped this whole thing off, you actually don't even need to take that one off, because just removing this is enough. There's a little tab right here. All you gotta do is push that down and pop this empty switch. If you have a different type of fog light, they might come with this entire assembly, and you might need to just plug everything back in. So it might appear to be a little bit different, but nothing too fancy. So let's pop this off and put in the new switch from the harness. You're gonna pop it in from behind. No mo. Just like that. Should have a working switch. Alright, now the harness should look like this. This side here should plug right into this. Just like that. You're gonna let this hang down here. And we're gonna pop the whole thing assembly back on. because we're done. What the step is, according to internet sources, there are a few ways to do this. I'm going to do it the easiest way, I thought, which is to find a fuse that turns on with the ignition power on only. So I think I'm going to run it to this 15mm bolt. Wow, 15mm bolt. This 15 fuse right here. Alright, so just attach this to there, this to this yellow wire here, and this to a ground, and you should be good in here. The next step now is to just install the fog lights. Pretty easy. Just put these little inserts in here, and you're able to screw the fog light right in, and then all you have to do is put the bezel back on. You might need to do a little customizing here because these tabs did not fit perfectly. I took a blade and shaved off a little bit here and there, and then on this one I took a blade and cut into the bumper a little bit so that I can slide the tab through that side of the bumper there, and that seemed to work for the other side over here. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Just make sure when you're pushing these things in, these two tabs, you don't really screw anything into it, but they have to go into these little slots over here in order for the fog light, excuse the shake, for the fog light to line up perfectly. So let me just screw this one back on, and I'll show you the finished product. So don't forget to reconnect your positive lead, and we're going to crank them on. Key in, as long as it's in accessory position, fog light switch is on. And you're good, both on. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a like, and I'll see you in the next one.